So it's like 5:30 in the morning. Oh, that's a lot. Anyway, we're going to make it work. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. You know what? We're just rolling with it today. But we'd spend the weekend together as like a little sober girl diaries with me. For those of you who have kind of, been around here or seen my latest or last video, that was from probably around this time last year. It would have been around June, July last year. And I put up a little video about, going sober, like cutting out alcohol, but can't take myself seriously with this blush. Cutting out alcohol, but also becoming, I guess, celibate in a sense, like not dating, not talking to boys, basically just like coming back to myself. I've got a bit to update you guys on, but also just want to talk about, I guess, what I've learnt and what has come out of my little sobriety stint that is, dare I say it, going to continue for the rest of my life. Maybe. At this point, I will not be introducing alcohol again. So what we're up to this weekend, I don't know yet. I actually have no idea. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of, I guess, because I've been sober for this long now, show you like what I get up to in the weekend. I think some of the biggest struggles we can face. I look great. Some of the biggest struggles that we can face if you're wanting to like give up alcohol is like knowing what to then do with your time that would normally be spent out drinking. But also understanding that like when you do decide to make a change like this and give up alcohol, if your life has been largely centered around it, like I think there's like this huge kind of acceptance of alcohol consumption, and there's a big culture, like big drinking culture here, especially in Australia. And that can feel really like, I guess, lonely because the dynamics of your friendships can shift. Some friendships might actually just end. And so there's like this level of grief that can kind of come with it that you do have to kind of process. But everyone's story is going to be different. And that's fine. More updates. I got a new little tattoo. I can't really say, oh my God, look like I'm flexing. They got little cupids. They have little naked butts. I love them so much. So that's what they're all the updates that I have thus far. There's going to be more to come, but we're just kind of going to hang out this weekend, chit chat. Might watch the footy tonight. Maybe she's a footy girl. Tomorrow, I also don't know what we're doing. This is the life we live. Very spontaneous. It's wild over here. Anyway, see you soon. All right, we are back home now. We're going to make a little snacky snack. Don't know what yet. Hair on me. Anyway, thought I'd have a little chit chat about kind of the process of, I guess, giving up alcohol. Whether or not you've toyed with the idea of doing it. I know for me, it was something that I was like thinking on for like a good few years before I actually, I guess, like took the plunge and gave it up. And then one of my besties also decided to stop drinking. She has moved to Adelaide, so we're in separate states. We're still voice noting and FaceTiming like daily. And yeah, that kind of just made me think like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I went and spent like a Christmas and New Year's with her a couple of years ago now. And we're both on the mocktails. We're still going out. Like we're still doing everything everyone was doing around like the festive season and the silly season. We just didn't drink alcohol. And I had the best time. And so I came back home and was like, I want to continue this going. Come June, I think it was, May or June. And then I was like, let's commit to this for 6 months and see how we feel. Just like a little experiment. And I feel amazing. And so I gave up alcohol and dating, as I said earlier. And yeah, here we are. Sober, single girly pop in her 30s, living large. So I figured why not do a little like weekend with me to kind of see what it's like. How does someone spend their weekend if they're not going out drinking, you know? That's what we're doing. So that is like, it is a process. I think at the beginning, I stopped drinking and it was winter here in Australia, so there wasn't a lot happening socially, which made, I guess, it easier initially because I thought, let's not stop drinking and then put ourselves in a lot of situations that are around, like surrounded by drinkers, because I just didn't want to, expose myself straight off the bat. So I did spend a bit of time kind of, I guess, cocooning at home. I'm just going to go check on my rabbit because I can hear her tearing through the toilet paper, BRB. All right, crisis averted. She loves the toilet paper. Let's maybe just start making plans with people to go do coffee and like little daytime activities and socialize that way. Then I got some bad news. My dad was diagnosed with a terminal illness and he passed very quickly. So it was almost like, it was actually a really great decision for me to have already implemented the no drinking, because I think that helped me to like process this and like face those emotions and really sit with the grief. I was really like facing this head on, those really hard feelings. Obviously still very much in the thick of the grief. It's coming up to his 1 year anniversary of his passing, which is like only a few days after Father's Day. So it's like a double whammy of, some pretty big events. So yeah, but now I feel like I'm at a place where to go out and to be around people drinking, to go out with my friends and they can drink and I stay sober and I just have the best time. In saying that, there has been a lot that I've done differently now that I no longer drink and no longer have hangovers. So I've definitely, picked up some new hobbies along the way. And I think that's really important to, depending on how, like if you're deciding that you wanted to give up alcohol, for example, and you're like, okay, well, I'm drinking quite a lot, like a lot of my events or like work situations or like whatever it may be involves alcohol. So it's like starting to form new habits. So you associate different events or different days or like different things that might trigger you to drink. Is starting to implement new things to do when those feelings strike. So I think it's really important to find rituals that are very, fun and whimsical, and it's basically just like romanticizing your life. And I think any way that you can create more play and invite more like childlike curiosity and wonder to your days, especially as an adult, I think that just adds years to your life and so much more like richness to your existence. So that's basically what we're doing this weekend. I'm going to go through the new hobbies that I've formed, things that I'm playing around with, my routines without drinking, my attitudes now towards life and drinking, and also dating. So we're going to get into that later. I'm going to have something to eat now, but I'll chat to you soon. Hello. Right, so I just made a little cup of tea and then I thought we'd chat about hobbies. One, fantasy fiction novels. As you can see, this is where a microwave should be. I can't speak today. Microwave should be. I don't have one. I put my books there. So I did start by reading. Let's go sit down. My bunny's out too, so this is going to be great. Gonna come be in the vlog? Yes. I love her. Come here. She probably thinks I have food. Where is she? There she is. Little baby. I love her. So hobbies. Give me head pats. Fantasy fiction novels. I've always loved reading, but I'd always approach it as like a task in terms of like, I need to learn something. I think just coming off the back of doing my degree at uni, and a lot of my spare time was spent literally reading like textbooks or other like nutrition, health orientated books, self-help books, all the rest of it. And then one of my friends posed the question of like, have you ever thought of reading for fun? And I thought, learning is fun. I'm a Gemini. Learning is fun. And then I took up her offer and I thought, let's try fiction. And I went down the route of fantasy fiction to begin. And of course, I read Akata. If you haven't heard of that, it's like your fairy smut romance. I loved it personally. I thought it was a great intro. So I ended up reading that, loved that. And that kind of came about when I first stopped drinking and I was just like cocooning at home, hibernating and just like soaking up these little novels. I smashed them out. I got Goodreads. I'm a Goodreads girly. You can follow me on there. Anyway, read that and then I started reading, I think I read Crescent City next, which is by the same author. And then I went on to Fourth Wing and I read all three of those. And then I went on to Throne of Glass, which I just finished and absolutely loved. And then I got really overwhelmed. I was like, what do I read next? And I had like a list of what to read on Goodreads, but I went down to my local like department store. They were having a book sale, but there was a limited limited offers on what was there. And because I just watched, I also don't have a TV. So quit drinking, no TV, no dating, no coffee. Like, what is she doing? I'm having fun. That's what I'm doing. Reading books. What else? We're going to get into what else I've been doing. But yeah. So I went down there. They didn't have much to offer, and I'd watched Normal People, the series. It's based on the Sally Rooney book. Absolutely loved it. I was bawling the whole time. Like, I literally binged it over a weekend. We had torrential rain one weekend, and I just binged that on my little laptop here on the lounge room floor and was obsessed. And so I saw that book there, and I thought, let's try fiction, but like not fantasy. See how we go. So I've started reading Normal People, which I'm enjoying, but I think because I've also just watched the show, it's almost like I kind of know what's coming. It's only a small book though, so that's just been like a nice little leisurely read. But then I bought another one of her books, Intermezzo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I want to actually have a look at my Goodreads want to read list, and probably I do really love fantasy. Like, I'm reading this and I'm enjoying it, but I love the idea of being like swept up into this alternate universe and like all of the things. So I think fantasy is where it's at for me at the moment, but we will see. I'm going to try and pop you down because I don't know if I can hold you forever. Hold me. So I'm not going to sing for you. Really into tea. Got a little Earl Grey and a little full cream dairy. Top tier, you know, simple girl. Built a fairy garden. I don't know if you can see it. The little door's up there somewhere. So, fun fact, I thought I had a crush recently on someone that they were probably the last person that I had, I guess, very casually dated before the celibacy and sobriety started. And we actually met on a night out drinking, and then things really escalated. And then we spent a lot of time together in a very short span of time because they were about to go overseas indefinitely. So then that happened. We've kept in touch. They're still someone I think of very fondly, and it's been like a year and a half since all of that happened. And I was just like thinking about them a lot recently, and I'm like, I think I just have a crush on them. I think that's it. I'm not going to try and like avoid my feelings. And then I was like, should I tell them? And I'm like, that's so weird to tell them. Like, they don't even live in the same state as me. They've come back from being overseas, but now they've moved interstate. So it's like, I don't see them. I rarely hear from them. Like, we might touch base from time to time. And I was just like, I think I have a little crush. Do I tell them? And I was like sitting with that for a while. And I'm like, I think you should tell people like when you have a crush, because yeah, okay, you might get rejected. Okay, whatever. It's not like there's someone that I actively see and speak to all the time. So even if it does kind of make things a bit awkward, it's not like, you know, we're really involved in each other's lives and it's going to like sever a friendship or anything. And I think it's quite nice, even if you don't have reciprocal feelings, it's nice to think like someone has a crush on you. Honey's just like nibbling. Honey's my rabbit, by the way. Nibbling on my elbow. It's nice to be like taught, like someone says to you, I have a crush on you. If it's in a non like invasive, creepy and like pressuring kind of harassing way, it kind of feels nice. Validating. So I was like, do I tell them? Do I not? And I was like, we haven't really spoken. So I'm like, I don't really want to message out of the blue and be like, hey, long time no chat. I got a crush on you. Anyway, thanks. Bye. So I'm just going to leave it for now. But then I was spending the afternoon here at home and I started building a fairy garden. And the crush kind of went away. And I think a lot of the times, especially as women, we're like conditioned to kind of seek male companionship, validation, attention, doing everything to please a man with the goal of getting married, having kids. Like that's like a societal kind of pressure that is placed upon us. And I think sometimes when you've got like a lot of kind of pent up creative energy, we can kind of unintentionally put that, like project that onto a man. So I think sometimes a lot of the time a crush is just like this pent up kind of creative energy that wants to come out of you, and you're feeling the surge of like the excitement and the emotions and like the fantasies and like, oh my God, the what ifs, and you kind of can project that onto a man. So I built this fairy garden. The door's up there. You can't really see it. I might show it to you later. And then, yeah, I was like, I don't have a crush anymore. So there's that. One thing I love about manifestation, right? So as a spiritual girly pop, I felt like when I really wanted to manifest something, I like channeled all of my focus and attention on it, where I was thinking of it 24/7. Like I became obsessed with it. I'm like scripting about it. I'm like, I need that. And it comes from like this almost like need now and this obsession. And I feel like that when you're trying to hold on to the outcome of it, almost like repels it. Not because I feel like you're being punished or that you're being tested at all by the universe. I believe it's because, like for money, for example, maybe you want to manifest a large sum of money, and then it's all you're thinking about and you're getting like obsessed with this idea. Instead of that money just landing into your account, first it's like you need to go through this preparation phase to ensure that you are capable of holding space for that amount of money. And then you kind of go through this like testing ground. But it's just to prepare you. It's not to punish you in any way. It's not to try and challenge you and test you and give you these like, yeah, you passed, no, you failed. It's more about like, all right, let's give you scenarios where you can show up as this version of you that has the thing that you wish. Or you can continue to show up as this old version of yourself that doesn't have the thing but wants the thing so desperately, if that makes sense. I just had a phone call come through, so I had to table that, and now I'm trying to remember like where I was up to. But the universe responds to frequencies and vibrations, right? So it's like when you then start coming at it so desperately, it's like the universe wants to prepare you, and it kind of gives you like the conditions to then like gain the skills, gain the knowledge, gain the wisdom, gain the experience to be able to handle what it is that you're wanting to call in. So I'm trying to retrace my steps. Where was I at? How effortlessly I manifest when I'm kind of detached from it. So there's been so many scenarios where I've just thought to myself, that'd be nice. And then like a week later, it's like, boom, it's there. I'm like, I fully just called that in. Like, and I have like this one little thought, set the desire. I like to call it the set it and forget it method, which applies to all manifestations. You set it, put the little ping out to the universe. This is what I want. And then you just chill out and you just stay feeling the best possible feeling that you can in any given scenario, right? Like it's not to be like this toxic positivity culture where you have to be high vibe all of the time. No, it's about feeling the best that you can in any given scenario. But emotions are just like that energy emotion anyway. I think it's really important to feel your feelings and not to try and run from them and escape them, which I feel like so many do around drinking and even looking to relationships and people to like distract ourselves and to avoid sitting with ourselves. So this whole approach of like me not wanting to drink and then not wanting to date was to basically like reconnect with myself and figure out who I am now after going through a breakup. And then I'm like, I've changed so much as a person, or I want to get to know this new version of me before anyone else gets to, you know, because I don't want to lose myself in another relationship. And so, yeah, that's what this whole process and journey has been about. But one thing now, as I'm coming out of my cocoon phase and like, I guess the most intense period of my grief, I feel like grief never really leaves you, but, you know, first navigating that, I realized things that I want to do now with my time. One thing that I know that I do love wholeheartedly is music. I think music is the most like prime example of magic existing in this universe, is the fact that we have music and the way it makes you feel and how it can just shift the vibe and just the response to it. I just think it's the most magical and beautiful thing in this world. This is all going to tie together in terms of the manifestation and my love of music. Now that I'm coming out of my cave and I'm doing just fine, I decided, I'm like, one thing I would love to do is go see more live music. And you know what's happened? I, again, set it, forget it. I was like, that would be cool. I've done nothing else around that. I just thought the thought and had the desire, bing, it's out in the universe. And then before I know it, all of my top tier favorite artists announced Australian shows. Royal Otis is one. And then they announced a tour and I got tickets. And then one of my besties was like, I'd love to come with you. She's like, I don't really listen to them, but I would love to come with you. Let's make it a night of it. I'm like the universe is just delivered. There's that. And then like all-time favorite artist Ethel Cain announced an Australian show for February. And again, me and my bestie got tickets. Crying, screaming, throwing up. Like all of the faves are just popping up. And so I think like if you are deciding to, you know, restructure your life in any way, manifest a new kind of existence, a new reality, you just kind of set that desire out there. And also just creating new little hobbies and rituals to do that don't surround yourself with, or just don't revolve around drinking and being around alcohol. Getting close to lunchtime, so I might make a little lunch. And that's it. And I'll check back in with you guys later. Okay, so it's now like 4:30ish. I look like this because I've just been like relaxing. I've been lounging. I am only like a couple days out from getting my period, and we are a self-honoring queen these days, you know what I mean? I think it's been something that I've really loved about this whole like sobriety celibacy journey, is just really like getting to know myself in a way where my decisions now are based upon how I feel and what I know is going to be best for me, and not influenced by like a fear of missing out, or like a need to be included, or to avoid feeling lonely. Like I spend so much time alone, but I very rarely feel lonely. And I think a big part of that is I've intentionally come away from social media. Like I know I'm still probably posting a lot and still quite active on there, but in terms of like scrolling, I don't spend a lot of time scrolling on there. I curate my feed in a way, so if there's anything that I find that makes me feel some kind of way, I'll mute the account or just unfollow it, and kind of intentionally just try to tweak my algorithm to serve me, because I feel like social media can be quite a thought-provoking and like inspiring place, and you can draw inspiration from it, but it can also be a way to find yourself feeling like a sense of comparison, or feeling like you're missing out, or like you're behind because you're seeing all of these like highlight reels of things. I've actually been personally loving Substack. So in terms of like my little rituals and things that I'm doing now, that I'm not drinking, is I have been reading a lot more Substacks. I have been writing some little Substacks. It's kind of like little online journal entries. It's more like long form content and a slower way to consume content that's not so rapid fire with like social media, in terms of like your Instagram and TikTok. They can be quite like just fast paced, really hyper stimulating, whereas something like a Substack article, like you're like sitting with it and like reading it and kind of more focused. I've been loving that. Other things I love to do, cloud scrying. I only just discovered that was like the term for it. It's literally just like on a day like today is perfect because it's quite windy, and it's also like there's scattered clouds throughout, and I literally just lay on the lounge room floor and look outside the window and like make shapes out of the clouds, and then you can look up the meanings of the shapes, and it has like symbolism behind it, and I enjoy that. So today I haven't even had like music playing. I've literally just cuddled my bunny on the floor, been wrapped up in my hoodie. I've read parts of books, I've read some Substacks, I've texted my friends, I text my sister. That's kind of it. And I'm going to prep dinner and maybe lay down a little bit more. I know today hasn't been like too action packed, but also luteal phase, premenstrual baddie. I want to chill. But I'm going to take you tomorrow morning to go see the sunrise if you'd like that. Yeah. So I'm going to pop these taties on. Maybe have a shower, do a little skincare, wind down. I do want to watch the football later. My dad was a big time Manly Sea Eagles supporter, and they do play this afternoon soon actually. And so I feel like it's just a nice way to try to connect with him and his spirit. I'm going to watch the game for you. So that's that, and then I'll probably go to bed nice and early, and then tomorrow morning we'll go watch the sunrise and go get a little cup of tea or something. And I'll chat to you more about probably the celibacy and what I've discovered about myself through that. See you in the morning. Bye. All right, it's now Sunday morning. Weirdest streams last night. So I did watch the footy. How like you get emotionally, like where your triggers come from. Like I was watching the footy and Dad was like diehard Manly supporter, and they won. And I was very, very chuffed by that because I was watching it and my dad would love this. And then I was just cried myself to sleep. Like I cried the rest of the night because his team won. I'm like, he would be so happy. So that was my night. I went to bed I've been listening to like different hypnosis, and like there's this guy I found on YouTube. His name's Brad. I'm obsessed with him. He does like ASMR and Reiki. And I always pop that on just before I go to sleep. So I was listening to that, but because it was on YouTube, I fell asleep and I woke up around 3:30. And in my dream, I was dreaming about I was about to play footy, like the NRL. Like they were short on players, so they were going to put me in. Like they had no other option but me, someone who's never played. They were like teaching me how to best just basically like not get injured and to just add something to the team. So that was in my dream. And then the guy that was teaching me about tackling and like defense started talking about batteries and like a battery calculate, something like that. And then as I woke up, there was an ad for like batteries that was going on the YouTube. So yeah, that was my night. And now here we are. We're going to go for a little strut. I'll talk to you about why I stopped dating and what that has done for me and the whole process of like my boy sobriety and how my life looks now without having men at the forefront as a straight woman. Yeah. See you soon. Okay, so walk done, little brekkie in the car done, about to go to the gym, do some light weights. And then the rest of the day is looking pretty chill. And I think it's exactly what my body needed this weekend, is just to kind of max relax, because I'm literally about to bleed. So that's where we're at. I love that I'm in this season of life now where everything is based upon kind of honoring my needs and where I'm at. Basically why I wanted to stop drinking and dating was to really come back to self and really reconnect to myself and understand what my true desires were. We're removing all external influences and we're coming back to ourselves. What is it that Brittany wants? And we're going to do those things. And it's been a really beautiful space to operate out of. So if a night out is on the cards, it's because my social battery is there and charged and ready to lock in. Otherwise, if I'm not feeling it, if I'm feeling a little tapped out, then I'm perfectly okay to just hang out at home by myself, lay on the floor, cuddle my bunny, read some books, and just like zen out. And it's just a really nice grounding space to be in. It's just allowed me to like understand what it is that I actually want from a partner if I was to date someone or like consider pursuing a relationship or building a relationship. Because I think before it came from a place of like, I was kind of like dicking around. I wasn't really sure what I wanted, and therefore I was attracting other people who also didn't know what they wanted. And then it got to a point where I was like, I don't really want to keep forming attachments and connections to people that it's not going anywhere. And I know there's no guarantees when you are dating someone, but I was going into it knowing I didn't know what I wanted. It's kind of like, I don't want to waste other people's time or mine. And it can get quite exhausting, like forming attachments and then detaching from people over and over again. I think I'm going to leave it at this because the rest of the day is literally like I go to the gym, hang out at home, and then I'm working again this afternoon and probably editing this little video to upload. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye. Love you.